What's up? It's Mike Gaube with Mike Gaube's Headbangers, sitting here with Robby Lochner.
Hey.
From Jack Russell's Great White. And look, he's sporting the shirt. So now, Robby Lochner knows. So, man,
I know.
It's nice to finally be able to sit down with you.
Yeah.
Been trying to nail you down, and we fortunately, my friends and I saw you last night down in Tucson, your hometown, at the Rialto Theater. Great crowd, good show, but tonight, even a little bit better, and I think, what a great way to...
A lot better. I hate to admit it, but it was a lot better last night. It was a rough night for me, and Jack had a hard time too. We both were struggling.
Well, let's put it this way. I wasn't disappointed last night, and I enjoyed tonight even more, plus it was special with ringing in the new year and everything, so it was just, it's been a really killer weekend, and what a way to wrap up 2017 with everything that happened as far as Headbangers is concerned, and going into 2018, make it bigger, better, faster, louder, all that good stuff. So exactly, you know what I'm talking about. So, all right, we were kind of talking off camera about when I first moved to Tucson. I moved from Idaho Falls, Idaho, so I was all excited because it was like, here's a big city. I'm going from 55,000 to 300-something thousand at a time, right? And the other funny thing was I was looking on the maps, and they would have like the Gila River and the Santa Cruz. I'm like, oh wow, I can go fishing. It's still blue on the maps, right? And we get there, I'm like,
It's been dried up for 100 years.
So anyway, remember the Tucson Garden? I know you did.
Yeah, sure.
What a great place that was.
Yeah.
Killer rock club, by the way.
Yeah.
No longer there, unfortunately. I mean, there's not even a building left. It's gone. So I can't remember what show it was, but I was standing in line. It was obviously a popular show because that place was pretty big, and the doors weren't open yet, and there was a line. And standing there, I was by myself. I was new to the city, didn't really know anybody, and guy starts talking to me, and we're just kind of chit-chatting. He goes, so you know Rock Lochner? I'm like, no. I'm like, I just moved here. Oh man, Robby Lochner, he's like the next Eddie Van Halen and everything. So already, and on the one hand, I'm sure that's a great compliment, but on the other hand, I know guitarists want to have their own identity, their own style and stuff, but I mean, to hear that, I'm like, oh, I gotta check this guy out, So already, and that was 1986, it's probably 87, I think, the first time I went to the Tucson Garden, but you guys were already a staple and a big name for Tucson. So maybe you could elaborate on that since I came in.
Yeah, no, the Tucson Garden originally was called the Roxy.
Yeah.
It was the Roxy, and we opened that place up, and it could probably never be more packed. I was just talking about that today. There was 1,700 people in this place. It was an 800 capacity. So it was over double, and I remember coming in through a back door to get to the stage, which was probably 40 feet away, and it would take 20 minutes. It was like the old school concert. Trying to get through was ridiculous, and it did really well as the Roxy. But then Mark Newman, who owned the place, went into business with another guy, and they changed the name to the Tucson Gardens, and everybody remembers it as the Tucson Gardens. And to me, I kind of think of it as the Roxy. It was just it was pretty, when it was new and it was an exciting thing. But the band, we opened up that venue and played it until it was gone. But Rock Lochner was around from 81 to 91, 92, something like that, before I, took off to California.
Well, so I know the history of the Roxy because I actually worked there. That was my first bar gig as a dorm. I started January of '89, worked up until the day it closed, and then became, I think, Coyotes, the country bar. That's what I think it morphed into.
I think it was the other way around. I thought it was the other way around because originally it was Rockefellers over on Speedway, which became TDs and probably is still TDs.
It is TDs East, yeah.
Okay, so that was Rockefellers, and rock was getting so popular at that time, and country was really going down, and that bar was a country bar. And I thought it was Coyotes, but I can't remember. It might have been the Outlaw.
No, it's the Outlaw. That's it.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure.
That could be correct, and then they swapped. And then the Roxy opened up, and The Rock was so popular, and then that didn't last over there, and it became TDs and his titty bar and all that.
Yeah, and it still is.
Yeah. And then the rock scene obviously, went down, but maybe it did turn, I don't know, maybe it turned into Coyotes, I don't recall.
My memory's a little foggy. I know I was there till the end because it closed in September of '89.
Because it closed, and I know they did a reunion show in the venue, but the venue had been closed, and I wasn't part of that because I was already, the Rock Lochner thing was done, and I was, excuse me, I was still, I was playing in a band in Phoenix at the time and plotting my move out. It was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to move to Phoenix. It was just like a little jump, and it doesn't even make sense.
Right.
If I'm going to do it, I'm going to move to California and do it right, and.
Well, okay, after you did that, it's kind of like all of a sudden you disappeared.
Yeah.
You did, right? Essentially.
Pretty much. People still remember because I kept coming back and playing shows and doing pretty well, actually. The first time I came back, it was a bar on the north side, and I played with a band. I think it was Born and Bred, that's what they're called. We had 900 people through the door, which was pretty good for 1994 or whatever it was.
That'd be great, really, any time for Tucson in a nightclub, let me tell you.
Since the old days, because the old days we draw 1,000 people all the time. It was like, if we had 300 or 400 people, it's like, wow, what a disappointment. Now it'd be like 300 or 400 people, my God, this is great.
Well, I gotta tell you,
spoiled.
Those were the good old days, man.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody in Tucson, first of all, got into the garden underage. You need a fake ID. I started going there without getting my ID checked, and then I started working there, and I was still underage. I started working there when I was 20. But that was one of the funnest jobs I ever had. My first bar job as a doorman, and that was back when rock was still alive.
Yeah.
And you'd have those little Southwest touring bands, and they
That's
were
right.
nationals, right? And they'd come through, play like Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. I think
It was Tuesday through Saturday. And they had two circuits. One was the Sammy circuit, and that was out of, I think it was out of Denver. And there was another circuit that was out of Dallas. And they had a bunch of bands that came through. And the only band that ever played weeks there was Rock Lochner. We would do Tuesday through Saturday. We were in that circuit, that we were local, we kind of were regional. But none of the other local bands ever did. Most of the bands played there, and everybody's like, yeah, we played the Rock, or the Tucson Garden. They played on Sunday nights, Sunday or Monday. That's just the way it was. Nobody else did weeks there. They had to have the draw, and we had the draw at the time. And the draw had to be really, in those days you had to draw a lot of people. Some of the bands that were, the smaller bands were drawing 100 people. It's like, 100 people. Now they'd be like, 100 people, come on in.
Yeah, it'd be like, that'd be amazing. And if you're hearing things in the background, we got other band members next door. So, anyway. Another band that I really liked, I never got to see you guys. I don't know how I ever missed being able to catch you.
You were working there. So obviously you knew Mark Newman, and you probably knew Dirty Dan, because Mark Newman owned the place, him and
when I was there, was John Miller.
John Miller.
Yeah, John Miller, and then Phil Summers was managing, Terry Lee.
Yeah.
But he split, and a guy named Cameron was doing some booking, and then he took off and changed hands to Dave and Fran Bemis, I think their last name was. Some weird things stick out.
So you don't remember Mark Newman? He was the one who started it. I know he was owner. He was part owner. Maybe he became a silent partner. But every time we played there, he was the guy we went through.
Maybe if I saw him, because I'm off.
He was skinny, tall, had the mustache. Passed away a few years ago.
Well, my memories were there's a couple bands that came through, and I don't know whatever happened to them except for one, and that was Kaiser.
Kaiser.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, Mikey passed away. Oh yeah, they'd come down and they'd play. I think I saw him 2 or 3 times in the time span that I was there. But Mikey Bones has unfortunately passed away.
Just this past year.
And then Pistol Pete.
He passed away, like I think the year or so.
A couple years ago.
That.
So prior to that, we did a couple of reunion shows that were huge, that were really good. And
up in Phoenix.
Yeah, at Joe's Drive.
Those guys did that, and I was like, man, why didn't you tell me?
Had I known that you would have been.
I didn't know him that well. I know him better. Like Brett, we did a show. I want to say it was last April. It was Brett singing. Carmine Peace playing drums,
Oh,
Rudy Sarzo playing bass, me playing guitar, Billy Stokes playing guitar, and we did a show at Cooperstown. And that's when I started to get to know Brett better. But I mean, Brett still sings amazing. Yep. That guy should be singing in Skid Row. If Sebastian Bach isn't in Skid Row, Brett Kaiser should be in Skid Row.
Well,
he
you
can
know
sing the shit out of it. I know the whole history.
With Madam X.
Exactly. That's why I was going, why isn't he singing with him, is what I wonder. And he still sings really well.
Yeah. He's got, well, I don't think I can probably mention it. Off camera, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Something you may or may not know. But yes, Brett Kaiser still has it. I've gotten to know him. Bruce, not so much, but I got to know Mikey and Pete, and unfortunately they passed. But we did a couple of really good shows up there, and then we've done some memorials for them up there. But yeah, Brett's still got it. And Madam X has a record.
Yes.
It's either coming out or is out right now. It's on David Ollison's label, EMP.
Okay. Cool.
And he's another good friend of myself and Headbangers and other people out there. In fact, I just met with him over the weekend, and I mean, great guy. And Ellefson Coffee, we were talking about that. If you like coffee, check out Ellefson Coffee Company. It's actually good. So anyway, so let's fast forward a little bit. Another band that you were in, and again, I didn't get to see you play, was Fight with, at the time, Rob Halford being here, basically in Arizona. Wasn't he splitting his time between here and Great Britain, or where the hell he was living?
I'm not really sure. I'm sure he was definitely in Phoenix at the time I was.
Well, not here in Flagstaff, but Arizona.
Oh yeah,
you know
as well. I mean,
we're in Flagstaff right now.
Yeah.
I can never remember where you especially.
Yeah, right.
What city were you in? You write it on your set list, so you know where you're at. But how was that, man? Now, that was some
really
heavy.
cool. I mean, because Rob was such a professional, and he was so good every night. I mean, it was almost like a record. He was so consistent, so like, and just to hear him warm up, it was a trip. You know, he would just go and scream for a few minutes and go out and just, pummel you. I mean, he was, talk about spot on. It's like, damn, every night, he was just flawless.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him suck.
Yeah.
Ever. And he just played Alice Cooper's Christmas Pudding, which is a yearly little variety show that Alice Cooper puts on and benefits his Solid Rock Foundation, or whatever it is that he does for the kids. So at this particular one, he had Halford on vocals, Ellefson was on bass, Slash came out on guitar, Ace Frehley came out,
Nice.
Glenn Sobel from Alice Cooper was on drums, Nita Strauss on guitar. God, who else was there? I can't remember. Of course, Alice comes out and sings, but
That's cool. What
you
was
should
that?
come out and do that. This particular one was at Celebrity Theater. They were doing it at Comerica for a while, which was Dodge Theater downtown. If you're familiar with that.
I'm not. I know Celebrity Theater.
Okay, well, yeah, Celebrity's been around forever, and yes, it still goes around.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
you should look into doing that.
Yeah.
You know Danny Zelisko?
I don't know him. I've heard his name forever. And I've had
Evening
people-
Star, remember?
Yeah, Evening Star, of course.
So-
a lot of people told me, "Hey, I'm going to introduce me to him years ago." And,
Danny.
Hey, Danny, how you doing?
I barely know him. He's not like that much.
And I haven't met him. I don't think, unless I met. I don't think. I'm sure I haven't, because people told me I'm going to be in the Evening Star, the whole thing, for years, and it's just never happened. But it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. It's just the way things roll.
We'll make it happen.
All right, cool.
I know people that know people that know people that know your people and your people and our people and those people.
And they can call each other.
That's right.
Make it happen.
All right.
7 degrees of separation, or whatever they say. Maybe it's 5 or 4, 3, 2, 1.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Oh, is that what it is? 6 degrees? Okay.
I don't know, whatever the hell it is. But,
Probably
so, Fight was, again, I didn't get to see in that, but man, that would have, well, you just said that was a great experience for you.
Yeah.
And then, was it around that time or a little bit later that you released a solo album?
It was a little bit later.
Okay, because I got that.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Really?
Somewhere in my huge collection.
Not many people, I should say not many people, because I sold a lot of them, but, well, not that many. I think it was 5,000 of them. They're all gone. I have one copy.
Oh, jeez.
I have one copy, but a lot of them were sold over in Europe.
Of course, yeah. It's always a big market over there.
I mean, I was shipping them box loads over
So
there.
did you distro yourself?
I did
essentially?
it. And, and it was weird, because then I would get these orders and they would send me the checks. I'm like, here you go, take them, And then I was going to keep doing it. I was going to change the cover, had a better cover. Not the cover was cool, better picture of me, because the back picture is real dark and everything. So I had a much better shot, and I was like, yeah, we're going to change it and do all this. And then I ended up doing this band called Jillian's Crush, and it was different. It was kind of a pop punk, post-pop punk, whatever it was, in the mid to late 90s. And it was actually really catchy stuff with a little more guitar playing than you would hear in that style of band. And things were looking really promising for us. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go in this direction because this has big potential. Whereas what I was doing, I mean, it was half instrumental and more of that, rock, which is cool, but it wasn't really happening for the time. I wanted to do something that was, and a lot of people were like, wow, why are you doing that pop stuff? And I was like, it's not really totally pop, but I mean, yeah, it's pop. But it was fun. I had a good time, and it looked like things were going to happen. Unfortunately, my partner, Bernie Corrigan, who passed away himself recently, 5 years ago, signed a bad contract with a couple of guys that locked us in and wouldn't let us
so
do
you're
anything.
stuck.
We had, deals in the works, and they wouldn't let it. I was like, wait a minute, isn't that the point? Is that we're gonna get a deal, or we're all gonna do something? But they were worried we were gonna drop them and then move on without them. And I suppose that kind of stuff happens, but myself and Bernie are loyal type people that, you help us get to a point, we're not dropping you off. Hey, we got here, see you later. It's like, you helped us get here. We're gonna keep you in the party, Why wouldn't we? You got us to this point, and one of the guys had a studio and he was producing the music, and it was like, why would we switch gears, If it's getting us a deal and everybody's really digging the music, it just makes no sense. It's like, you're going to get to the Super Bowl and you won. Now change the coach, change the quarterback, It's just not the way we think, But
So doing the more poppy stuff, did it kind of round you as a musician, do you think, or?
I don't know if it rounded me so much, but I mean, it just added some more, I guess. It helped add different dimensions and kind of maybe look at things a little bit different.
Because one guy that did the pop thing is now all metal. Jason Hook played with Hilary Duff and Mandy Moore, and he's in Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And who else did he play with?
Bullet Boys, Vince Neil.
No, the pop
Boys.
stuff.
Pop stuff, just Mandy and
Hillary, okay.
Yeah. And
Wow.
then
So,
he was
Wow, that's cool.
So he started, and now, he's mainstay in Five Finger Death Punch.
I mean, some people, don't get that. It's like, well, you were pop. I mean, I've heard people talk about Phil Anselmo. I've seen stuff online, like, oh, you see them, look at the proof. A guy had this thing, the proof, look at his hair. He wasn't always metal. It's like, people evolve,
Well, plus, what's wrong with being well-rounded and versatile?
Exactly, and that guy's phenomenal. I mean, holy shit. Have you ever seen that guy live?
Which one was it?
Phil Anselmo from
Pantera. Yeah, I just saw. Is it Dead Cross?
I don't know.
Or was it? No. Dead Cross is Mike Patton from Faith No More. Superjoint. I just saw.
Okay, is that what he's doing now?
It was Superjoint Ritual. Now I guess it's just Superjoint. But who I really wanted to see was who's the other? I got my helper. What was the other heavy band?
Which other?
With Down. With
yeah.
Pepper from Corrosion of Conformity.
Oh yeah, I love that.
That's what I'd really like to see is Down. And Corrosion of Conformity is coming with Black Label Society in February down there in Phoenix at the Marquee. So I'm looking forward to that because that'll be a killer show.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And now speaking of well-rounding yourself for versatility, here's a kind of generic question for you. Who are your influences?
Well, originally, I was listening to guys like Ted Nugent and Michael Schenker, and I really like Richie Blackmore a lot. Unique stylistically, everything about it. Van Halen was a huge influence on me. Probably the number one influence on myself, and probably a gazillion other guys, through that time period. But I love Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, Paganini, all kinds of other stuff. Brad Paisley,
Oh.
Brad Paisley's just sick.
Yeah, right. I saw him, and that was one of the funnest concerts I've ever been to. Because I'm a rocker, but I like all music, and I like country and rock and country.
Yeah.
He comes out and just threw a party, and it was a blast.
Oh, cool. I've never seen him live.
Oh,
His stuff
got to.
His playing, I mean, so many of the country players are just so good.
Because they got to play real clean.
Yeah.
Too, so they're just precise.
And they just, the whole hybrid thing and just, the technique, it's really good. So a lot of people, country is like...
Pay attention.
Pay attention. It's really good stuff. I mean, listen to Albert Lee. He might be a little older style country, but I mean, I love Albert Lee too. I mean, talk about ripping. I'm just open to if it's good, it's good. It doesn't matter. I can't go, it's got to be metal, or it's got to be rock, or it's got to be blues, or it's got to be pop, or it's got to be whatever, ragtime, it's got to be... I don't care if it's good,
Ragtime, Scott Joplin.
Yeah, exactly. I love Scott
well,
Joplin.
people pigeonhole or they get tunnel vision and they don't want to broaden their horizons. And I was actually kind of guilty of that back in the 80s where I was more hair metal. And to be honest with you, at first I didn't get Megadeth with their time changes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, now I love it,
Yeah.
And so much as you grow and mature, it's just like I think with taste buds. As a kid, I hate this, and this. Now I'm older, I love it.
Yeah.
Now, Stanley Jordan.
Yeah.
Is he an influence on you with the two hands?
He wasn't really. Of course, I know who he is. The first time I saw him, I went, "Oh my God, this guy's brilliant!" And I've seen him a couple of times at different jams at NAMM. And he's a brilliant player. He's really jazz, though, and his technique is real different than the way I approach it.
Are you okay? Chapman stick.
Chapman stick.
I play the chapstick really well, but
Okay.
Chapman stick.
Sure.
I saw a guy on 4th Avenue Street Fair play one of those, and I didn't know what it was at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, and if you don't know what it is, you can explain it, but it's amazing.
Yeah, it's just more expanded instrument than you play it like you would tapping, but it gives you more freedom for notes because there's so many strings. It's so much.
One side is like the bass, and the other side is
treble.
It's nuts.
I've seen, the first time I saw it was at a NAMM show. I was going, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. I mean, very different than trying to do it on 6 strings because you have to think your way through. Different. You don't have the access to so many notes and so many strings that, nothing's in the way of each other.
Well, what you were doing in your solo, if you haven't seen them, oh my gosh, pretty amazing stuff. A lot of styles in there, musical styles, at least to my ear. From what I was
I
watching.
mix it up a little bit. I'd like to mix it up a little more, but you kind of limited it on time. I mean, how much, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this for 20 minutes, and I'm going to
Same minute.
Yeah.
And then it's the Robby Lochner show, but hey, nothing wrong with that. Have you ever thought about, G3's kind of, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And there's really not probably a lot of room or a market for more stuff like that, at least not these days.
Yeah.
But if you're invited, would you jump on something like that?
Well, sure. Yeah, of course.
Because this one coming around is Satch, John Petrucci, and Phil Collin of Def Leppard.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing because I never really thought of Phil Collin as a shredder or, a guitar virtuoso.
You don't think that way, but go see him live. And
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because I got to be honest, I saw Def Leppard about 4 or 5 years ago, and he smoked Vivian Campbell. And Vivian Campbell was one of my favorites growing up in Dio because he was Gary Moore influenced. I love Gary Moore, and I mean, Vivian did a solo during Love Bites, an extended solo, and his tone was amazing, but Phil smoked him throughout the whole show. So I was like, that dude. So now it makes sense to me. But Vivian is doing that last in line thing.
Yeah.
And I've seen some YouTube video of it, and I want to go see him because it looks like he's having a blast playing all that Dio stuff.
We played a show in, I want to say it was Ohio, I think it was. And they were on before us. And I was going, why are they on before us? It was, so we went on right after them. They were doing all the Dio stuff, like Vivian, and they had Vinny. And I was pretty impressed, like standing behind Vinny playing. I was like, oh my God, I was setting my stuff up, sitting back behind them, behind the stacks, getting my stuff ready because the changeovers had to be quick. And boy, Vinny was, I've always liked his drumming, but to sit there behind him while he was playing, it was like, man, that shit's powerful.
Well, he's got a very, I got
He's unique. You know him when he's playing. And you know what's funny is I think I had 2 songs on records with them. We haven't met. I've met his brother. I played with his brother live.
You mentioned that, yeah.
But I've recorded with Vinny without having ever met him, so it's kind of cool.
Well, that happens a lot these days with musicians.
Like, hey, we
I'm on
played
a record
together.
with this other guy, but did I play with him? No.
But it's interesting that I played with Carmine twice live, and I've recorded with Vinny twice. So obviously I met Carmine, but I don't know Vinny. So
What did you think of the whole band doing the Dio stuff like that?
it was good. It was really good. It's definitely well worth seeing,
Because 2 of the guys, Andrew Freeman on vocals, did Raid the Rock Vault out in Vegas.
Okay.
And then Vinny, of course, on drums, original Dio drummer.
Yeah.
Those 2 played together with George Lynch for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Andrew sang for George for quite some time. Vinny played with him as well, and I got to know them a little bit. And you're right, it was fun watching Vinny up close
really
instead
cool.
of in an arena from far away.
It's weird, yeah. It's sitting behind him. You're not getting as much of the monitor and everything. You're just getting pure Vinny, and it was like, wow, man. It was just, I mean, it was pretty cool. I was like, damn, that guy's. I mean, I knew he was good when I listened to the tracks. When the guys sent me the tracks, when I recorded, I was like, oh, yeah, his drumming sounds bitchin'. Oh, it's Vinny. Oh, okay, cool. But sitting behind him live, I went, whoa, that's a whole different experience.
Yeah. What were these tracks, if you don't mind telling?
It was, oh God, why am I spacing it out? Jimmy, sorry, I'm forgetting it. It'll come to me.
DeGrasse,
No,
Deanda.
no.
No, you played with Vinny.
Oh, no. Trying to.
It'll come
She's
to me.
naming other drummers. We weren't talking about the drummer you played
Right.
with. You hush.
Jim Crean. He does the thing with the brothers, both the brothers. They have a drum circle, or they do something.
Oh, since now they talk again, because for a while there, I think they were at odds.
Were
Vinny
they?
and Carmine.
See, I don't know.
That was the
anything about
story
that.
I had heard. They didn't talk
Well,
to each other for a while. Now
I'm
it's-
not sure, but they do this thing with this guy, Jim Crean. He's a singer. He's out of Buffalo, New York. And he's got a couple records out. And he asked me to do a track with him. And I did the track. But he's been doing this, I don't know if they call it a drum circle or what it is exactly. Now,
Okay, look that up. You're going to have the assistant over there. Look that up.
Yeah, look it up.
Carmine and Vinny, Appice, who are a piece. However, each one
Well, I think
says.
one's a piece and one's apathy.
Yeah.
So, and the other one, it's just that I'm a bit sick and I'm tired and my thinking is slow. So
Yeah.
take me a minute to remember.
Well, we'll get her on that. Let me ask you this. Have you seen that Dio hologram thing that's going on?
I haven't.
Okay, look it up on YouTube. I was kind of excited about it at first, but now I'm like, it's kind of creepy.
Is it?
And they're all, Wendy Dio's behind it, and it's not about the money, and Craig Goldie and Simon Wright, I think, on drums. And I don't know. I guess it's up to the person who wants to go or not to see it, but what I saw, probably wouldn't go. But I don't know if you said you haven't seen it, but check it out on YouTube and see what you think. It's kind of weird.
Well, they did it with Elvis, right?
Well, they did it with Tupac, too.
Oh, okay. The best way to experience it, right? So he's actually they're using a hologram, obviously his recorded vocals, and they're using live musicians with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool, man. You can't interact with them, so that's a bummer. But
Well, it's kind of interesting, actually, how they do have him ask for audience response, like what I was reading about it, like during Heaven and Hell or something. Is that getting the audience to do something? They're doing it. I don't know. So just think of it this way: you can come back as a hologram. Now let's fast forward to when you joined Jack Russell's Great White. How did this all come about? Or is there anything in between that you want to mention?
Well, I mean, there's things in between, little things I did here and there, but I mean,
Can I say something?
Oh, somebody
That
was
one,
going.
when you were at Fender Skirts with
with
Dig
Dig
Jelly. Yeah.
with Dig Jelly, that was a band that I played in quite a while and had a little record deal, and we toured the country, and we did a couple records. I still would like to do stuff with them, but I'm so busy, I just can't really. I mean, I've got a whole album's worth of music sitting in my studio waiting to finish, and I've just been so busy I haven't been able to finish it.
Well, maybe one day you can just let it sit there for
Yeah.
a while. Did you come up with it?
What was it you needed?
Jim Crean.
Yes.
With Carmine and Vinny.
They
The
do.
Sinister album. Also, Paul Shortino did vocals on it too.
It's called what?
Sinister came out in September of this past year.
What?
But that's the record. But they do a thing with Vinny and Carmine where they do like a drum circle, or I can't remember.
They're
what it is.
actually touring with it right now.
They
As a
are.
matter of fact. So what's that? You gotta look that up.
Yeah.
Thank
may
you for
have to
giving me
edit this one.
clarification.
Whatever.
So there's a couple little things. Like I played with George Lynch out of Mars Music. I
I was
opened
gonna say,
up.
when was that?
I opened up playing my instrumental stuff, and then came back and played bass for him.
Oh, is that right? Because yeah, I've been friends with him since '97. He actually built me one of his Mr. Scary guitars.
Oh, really?
It's heavy. It's like 13 pounds. It's the Bones from
Yeah.
the old J Frog.
Yep.
Basically like that.
I know J Frog.
Yeah, I met him at NAMM one time. He's really cool.
He's
Interesting
very cool.
dude.
He's working for G&L now, and he keeps saying that we're supposed to get together and maybe talk about doing something. Really cool guy. I also know Dallas Brown. I haven't seen him in years. Don't know what happened to him, but he was building guitars just like that. And he was like his competitor back in the day. J-Frog, we're not building this. J-Frog's still going. Dallas
Sure.
Brown, I don't know what happened to him.
Well, all right. So Jack Russell's Great White. Here we are.
So
How
what
did it all
happened
start?
was Derek Pontier played drums for Grey White. I'm not sure the years exactly. I think it was like 2003 or something. I think it's like 4 to 5 years with him. I met him. I was playing with that band Dick Jelly at a NAMM jam, and this friend of mine, Dario Seixas, was friends with Derek, and he brought him in to the jam. And then they were watching us play, and then I was like, let's come on and play. So the three of us played together, and we just kicked out a bunch of jams, and it was cool. It felt good, and it was like, yeah, this is cool. So we kind of kept in touch, and then Derek brought Dario and myself out to the desert to meet Jack to do his solo band. And Jack had been sick, so he
Yeah.
wasn't in Grey White, and he was in no shape to be doing a band. I mean, he just wasn't. And so we met, and then I think it was about a week later, I came back and saw Jack hung out for the day, and he was still boozing it, and he just was not in good shape. And I was like, it's not going to happen, you know. So, you know, flash forward 9-10 months, it's still 2011, because this happened in, I think, February of 2011. And then it was December, and Dario had been keeping in touch with Jack, and he goes, he's doing way better, you got to come over and see him. So this time he's not living in the desert anymore, or Palm Desert, wherever. He's living in Redondo Beach, and now he's married to his nurse and Heather, and they're living on a boat. And so we go over there, and I was like, hey, you know, you gonna walk in? He goes, I think I remember you. I'm like, it's nice. So he didn't even remember me, even though we hung out and stuff. You know, that's how he was pretty messed up. So, but whatever. So we hung out and we're talking, and he had already done a photo shoot with a group of guys he was going to use for his solo band, and then they started doing shots where they cut one guy out. I guess he was drinking too much, and that's when Dario convinced him to get me in the band, and then I guess the rest is history. So then that night he goes, you know what? He goes, forget the solo band. He goes, screw the other guys. I'm firing them. I'm doing my own version of Great White. Do you want to play in the band? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I was kind of hesitant, like, let's see how this goes. But I mean, it just started kind of like, it took off, and it was kind of like everything started happening like it was supposed to. You know, every little detail of every little thing that led us to where we're at felt like it was really guided by something beyond us, you know. And it was like, and here we are.
Well,
past 6 years later, so.
I've had the opportunity to see Great White back in the day, at their heyday, pretty much. I saw them with Winger and Cinderella. But Al Pitrelli was on guitar,
Yeah.
because Mark Kendall hurt his arm or was sick or
Yeah.
something. And then I saw him in the 90s down in Tucson at this big-ass country
I was
bar.
there.
The Wild Wild West?
Yeah,
You were there?
I was there with Barry Sparks. He invited me down.
Yeah, Barry's. I
Yeah.
got to know him. I haven't talked to him in forever, but yeah, then. And then I saw the Jack Russell version in 2012, November, at Club Red. And that's the one I was telling you about when we were texting back and forth. I had
I'm trying to remember Club Red. I can't remember what club.
that one was right there at University and the 101.
Was that the one with Faster Pussycat and all those other bands opening? That was the tour?
No, you guys, man.
Oh, I do remember it.
Do you remember?
I
Matthew
do
Johnson
remember.
was on
Yeah,
guitar.
I do remember it now.
And I don't remember who else, obviously.
It was Dario and it was Derek. Yeah, I do remember that place now.
And what I remember is I was like, okay, how's Jack gonna sound? You know, and he comes out, and I was actually surprised that he sounded better than I thought he would, but he's still a little flat. And I haven't seen you guys since then until last night at the Rialto, and then tonight and last night when he came out and started hitting those notes. I was like, oh man, Jack's back.
But last night wasn't even close to how he's been singing. I mean, it was a rough night. We both had a rough night.
But I would have been disappointed in it. But then tonight, even better. And I was like, oh man, I'm so glad he's getting healthy, or he's gotten healthy again. And he's back because, I mean, he has a great voice. I mean, I was telling him that the first album was the black with white, great white on it. Yeah. And it was weightlifting in Idaho Falls, Idaho. It's in 9th grade, and these dudes would play tapes. Or actually, it's 10th grade as a sophomore, that's right. They bring in tapes, and one was that tape, Great White. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta go buy it. And I went and bought it, and I found the EP, the original EP. And apparently I got the very first one with the blue lettering Jack was telling me. So I've been a fan ever since, but his first 2 albums, that first one I loved, the cover of Substitute. Yeah. Oh my God, it's just great. You know, Stick It, and you know, all that stuff. And then Shot in the Dark I liked a lot, and then they got a little more bluesy. But I still dig what's going on, and I'm really glad that you guys sound, first of all, the band you've got going on right now is smoking. I didn't realize Tony Montana could play the way he does, and you two complement each other. You're up there tearing it up and sounding great. Jack sounded great. So now I got to put you above the other version of Great White, because Terry Illouz I've always been a big fan of as far as vocally with like XYZ and stuff, but since Jack was what I grew up on, he is the voice of Great White, honestly, and I'll say it right here. Nothing against the other version, but now that he's healthy and he's got that voice back, I give you guys the edge. And I'm not saying that because you're sitting here and I can say whatever I want, because this is me, it's my brand. I don't have any bullshit to deal with or any boss, so there you go.
I think he's been getting steadily stronger.
Good.
The first year, you know, I remember the first show we did, he goes, oh, I'm going to see how I do. I might have to shut it down, but he doesn't do well. And it was like, he did decent, but he was like, it was a little rough. And then we did a tour, like a 6-week run. And it started off rough. And I know the other bands were like, yeah, Jack, he doesn't sound good, you know. But he started getting stronger and stronger as the tour went on, which usually it's the other way around. Yeah. And by the end of the tour, he had kind of picked up steam. It was like, okay, he's starting to sound, you know, more like himself. But the odd thing is when we started that tour in January, I think, of 2012, before the actual run happened, when we were just doing shows, we sold out everywhere we went. Every show was sold out. When we started that tour with all those bands, like 5-band tour, all of a sudden crowds just diminished. They just dropped, and after that, it was like it was weird. And also, we dropped, and then we had to build ourselves back up. It was the oddest thing, but you know, steadily over the years, he's gotten stronger. So you know, proof is in the pudding. Come see the band. I mean, it's pretty hard to deny.
There ain't no denying. I saw the proof 2 nights in a row. As much as you may have hated last night, again. I wouldn't have been disappointed, or I wasn't disappointed. And tonight I
was really disappointed with last night.
I know you're being hard on yourself and stuff.
I just know what I'm capable of playing, and just hate being inconsistent. You know,
that's probably tough, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I think the combination of no sleep. I had a tamale for dinner. I need a lot of food in me to keep myself going, and being sick. You know, the whole combination was it was a battle for me.
Yeah.
And, there's times where, you don't have sleep and you have to battle just that, but being sick and not having food, I mean, it was just, one of them, maybe all three.
Well, again, I wasn't disappointed. And you're your own worst critic, of course, and it's probably sometimes good to be that, and maybe not so much because you're so hard on yourself. What you think might suck to the listener, the fan out there, they're like, oh my God, he was so good. So
I mean, people seem to like it, and a lot of people were saying
the crowd was great. It was way
good.
bigger than I thought it would be for Tucson, because that market's really tough right now. Me being back down there after being up in Phoenix and seeing just how small it was compared to Phoenix. Like when I first moved there, I told you I thought it was a big city. Being up in Phoenix for 12 years and now back down there, I love the town and everything, but the market just is, and it's tough. It ain't like the good old days. So to have
it's tough, but it was, we got, whenever I play there, I usually do pretty well, decent, just because I grew up and played there so long. So
you got a nice little fan base. They certainly made the noise for you.
It seems like what always happens is I'll see somebody I haven't seen forever. There'll be a core of people who always come,
right?
And then then there's the people that I'm going to be there and they don't show up. And it's exactly what it was. It was the same thing. And then I have all my family, which, there was 40 of them there.
Yeah, you got your nice little sections, the Lochner section.
Yeah, and backstage or on the stage or whatever. Right?
Yeah, it's on Facebook right now. When I introed you, I started
cool.
I started with that little section, went out, and then came back and got you, and that was it.
Yeah.
So, I just lost my train of thought. I'm tired too. It's been a hell of a weekend. But I was going to say, you were talking about you never expect, or you don't know who to expect to show up.
Yeah.
Is that pretty cool though? It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was.
Because it's always different each time you come to see something.
And I'll get surprised. I was surprised by some of the people that showed up. There was two guys in particular. I was like, I couldn't believe they're there. I don't know if they came together or not, but guys I went to school with, and I was like, man, they haven't seen me play since high school.
And where'd you go?
Saguaro.
Okay.
And they were both, I just happened to walk out and they were both there. Otherwise, I might not have seen them. And there was a few other guys that were there that I wish I would have seen. But I mean, these two guys, I'm like, oh my God, this guy Jay Kelso and Greg Stutz. I'm like, what? You guys are here? I was like shocked, And we took a picture and I was like, oh, I wanted to hang out with them more. But I was like, oh, you just limited on the time. But it always seems like there's just somebody who will pop up you haven't seen forever.
Well, that's gotta be cool.
And there was quite a few. But I didn't see as many of them as I would have liked to. There was a few other guys I saw. I was like, wow, you're here too. And it was, it's great to see everybody that comes out, no question. Even the ones that come out regularly, it's like, of course it's great to see them,
Yeah.
But you get a little more shocked when there's somebody you haven't seen forever. And it seems like every time there's somebody else, you go, wow,
Okay, if Robby Lochner's in town, you come see him and make yourself known, okay? Don't let him know after the fact, and then he's like, oh man, I wish I'd seen you. So, right? There you go.
Exactly.
I'm going to throw that out there.
Yep.
Well, speaking of time, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Sure.
Like he was saying, he ain't lying, he was sick.
Yeah.
Playing with the flu or doing anything when you got the flu, you don't want to do anything. You want to lay in bed. So, thank you for this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thanks for sporting the brand.
Thanks for the shirt. It fits well.
One of the reasons I got this brand. So, by the way, they are available to purchase. So, anyway, I'm Mike Gaube with Mike Gaube's Headbangers.
Excellent.